My name is Tony Budden. I'm from Hemporium in South Africa. And Hemporium is a hemp company that's been going since 1996, basically introducing South Africa and Africa to hemp products through making various things from clothing, body care products, food products, cosmetics, accessories, building houses and selling fabric, and trying to just get people to touch and feel the plant and understand that there's way more to it than smoke. I was invited to present on the updates on what's happening in South Africa and Malawi and various other countries in Southern Africa, and to bring people in Europe up to speed with what's happening outside of Europe with regards to hemp. One of the projects that I'm involved in outside of Hemporium is in Malawi. And Malawi is a very poor country in the middle of Africa. Its GDP is the lowest in the world, and we are working with growing seeds, developing varieties that will grow because it's quite close to the equator. So working on developing varieties that are specific to that region, and also proving to the government what we can do with regards to hemp for helping to alleviate poverty, create jobs, make sustainable development. So basically I've consulted for quite a few projects in the region. I'm working with some people from Zimbabwe, from Swaziland, even Zambia, and then Lesotho. But Lesotho is more on the medical side than the industrial side. I think Africa has an opportunity to, because it's still underdeveloped, to really move forward in a slightly different way of already stepping into renewable energy, already stepping into more sustainable business practices, maybe not making some of the mistakes of big industrialization that we see in parts of Asia and in parts of Europe and North America, and learn from some of those mistakes, because obviously we have a big population but very poor at the moment, but everyone wants to have a car and wants to have a nice life, but we know that the impact on some of the products as we currently make them will be very damaging in Africa. So maybe if we can already look at replacing that with more natural products, more sustainable products, it will make a big difference to the future. So it's very important to have the political support in Africa to move forward, but it's quite difficult because a lot of African governments are scared of the international pressure around fighting drug laws, and until really the federal government in the United States recognizes the difference between industrial hemp and marijuana, or to see that some uses are for fiber and food and some for getting high, to see that there is a difference in that. It's very hard for African countries to change their law to allow cannabis to be grown, because they feel they're going to get penalized on an international level and maybe lose foreign funding. So they're very nervous about changing the law around cannabis. Yeah, I'm part of a group in South Africa called the Cannabis Development Cooperative, basically looking at spreading awareness and helping the people who want to be a part of the industry to have a voice, to be able to approach the government as a community and not just individuals. The politicians still do need some education. They still don't have a full understanding about what we are talking about. So a lot of our work at the moment is still lobbying, is still showing and telling, getting the products into people's hands so that they can really get the big picture. But it's quite difficult in Africa because there's so many big issues to deal with, like poverty and HIV, AIDS and tuberculosis and all of these things, that sometimes it doesn't seem as important as it actually is to get hemp onto the agenda. So a lot of diseases these days are linked to inflammation, and especially after malaria you have a lot of inflammation of the brain with certain varieties of malaria. So there's a few studies going on, and a proposal around using CBD, which has high anti-inflammatory properties, to help people recover from malaria. So using cannabis to not prevent malaria, but when people are in recovery, to help them get back on their feet faster. So the main challenge that we face is basically misunderstanding of what the plant is about and what we're presenting, and a generalization that cannabis is cannabis. It's not understanding that there are so many different uses, there's so many opportunity for this plant, and it can be controlled very easily. So it's all an association strictly with the psychoactive or the drug side of the plant that stops people looking through what I call the smoke screen, at the rest of the products, because they get blinded by that side of it. So it's an education issue. Unfortunately, the main question I've been asked around hemp in my career is, can I smoke your shirt? That people think that what we are making is made from, even though it's made from cannabis, that it's made from marijuana, and they ask this stupid question, and they think they're the first person to ask me this question, and always think it's very funny. So I use it then as an opportunity to show them that they are making a joke out of something that is actually quite serious, and if we can stop making jokes, we'll see the seriousness of what we're offering is something that should be taken seriously. Cannabis should be taken seriously, and these jokes stop us from actually being able to move to that next level. So it's usually I tell them no, they can smoke my socks, but that'll just make them crazy. So our biggest challenge as Hemporium is to get local production. At the moment we import fabric from China, building materials from UK and France, food products from Germany and Canada, paper from Hungary, and it's a model that doesn't work in Africa because it just pushes the price right up, and we sit in a very niche of eco-friendly products or people with a lot of money. So our main challenge is to change the law in Africa to have local production and to get the price down so that we can offer the products not just to people with a lot of money, but to people who need the products most of all. So I believe the plant chose me to become an advocate, and I am in service of this plant. It has given me so much in my life. It's created my house, it creates my clothing, it creates a lot of my food, it's created my career, it has introduced me to many people around the world, it has shown me a better way of living, and for that I need to give back. And my giving back is keeping telling the story. I'm in service of the cannabis plant to make sure that she becomes free and can be grown in places where right now she can't be grown, and that people can work with her where right now they cannot work with her. So it is my way of giving back to the plant for so much that she has given me, and that is why I do what I do. So right now we're seeing more momentum than ever before. We're seeing a lot of people wanting to change the way they live. They're understanding that synthetics and plastic products that never biodegrade are causing massive issues not only for our planet but for our bodies. So there's never been more interest in products that are healthy, biodegradable, organic, natural. So we're seeing a lot of interest on that side, and we're also seeing a lot of interest on the medical side of the plant, the CBD side, also the medical marijuana. So the volume of interest, the amount of people wanting to research this plant has just gone up amazingly, and we're also seeing new research come out, because for the last 100 years pretty much no one's been able to research it. So if you wanted to work on this plant, you couldn't. Now we're seeing certain areas where it is legal, so we're seeing a lot more of a curve of new research, new products, new opportunities, proof that what we're saying is true, and that is just accelerating the acceptability and the market for the plant. So I'm very excited for the future, but obviously we still need to change our international laws to allow everyone around the world the equal opportunity to work with us. And right now it's not fair that countries in Africa can't do it while you can do it in Europe, and you can do it in Canada, and you can do it in Australia, but especially the poorer countries where there's a lot of debt and the governments are too scared to make this move, it really puts us at a disadvantage. So that is our biggest challenge now, and the next step is to make sure that countries in South America, countries in Africa, maybe countries in some of the poorer countries in Asia can get an opportunity to also play their part in creating a world that is more sustainable. Yeah, so obviously cannabis can threaten a lot of big businesses, cotton industry, pharmaceutical industry, petrochemical industry, pesticides industry, even the police industry, the jails industry, the court industry. There's a lot of people who have a lot to lose if we all could have an opportunity to work with this plant. So yes, it is a challenge. The nature of a conservative industry is to hold on. They don't want change. And it's too easy to keep hemp and cannabis out by associating it with people getting high all the time. So it's important that we shift that perception and show that there are so many other uses, and that's why events like this are really amazing, because it puts architects, scientists, doctors, engineers into one place who are not here because they like to get high. They are here because they believe this is a supreme product that is a really good opportunity to change the way we currently do business. Merci.